Morning, everybody. Story time today. We're going to tell you a little bit of a story back when I was a youngin'. This is going way back. Junior high. Well, I had some pretty good friends junior high. I'm still friends with all my friends, but I don't see them very much anymore. Much as I'd like to. I'd like to see them a little bit more often, but we don't see each other very much. We all got our own lives, own work going on and all everything, and live a long ways apart. But see one, can't remember if he was in junior high with his. I think he was in junior high. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. But anyway, it don't matter about all that. Ain't what my story's about. What my story is just some stuff I used to do in junior high. It was kind of crazy. But I used to have this one friend. We used to go hunting every now and then together. And back then, actually, it wasn't no big deal for me to bring my shotgun on the school bus and go and take it to the classroom and have it in the back closet of the class until class was over. Then I could walk over to my buddy's house, or we get back on the bus or something, and we'd go to someone else's house and go hunting. But that's how we got there, was a school bus. We have our shotgun shells and our shotguns with us and stuff. And you can try to do that nowadays. No, don't. Don't do that nowadays. You get in trouble. Big trouble. But anyway, back then, people had common sense. Some of the boys there actually made gun stocks for their guns in shop class. That's how much things have changed. But anyway, this ain't about guns. This is about just little stuff I used to do back when we were younger, Anyway, one time I had this friend come over to my house, and we was out. We feeding cows. We had a little tractor, a little Ford tractor, it's like a Jubilee or 9N or something, but it was a 641 Workmaster is what it looks like. That's what it's pretty close to being, or 601 Ford. But anyways, that model, it's not the old one, a 9 or an 8. It's a little bit in between. It's a little newer than an 8. Anyway, it's like a 601 Ford tractor, about 35, 40 horse. But those little things they'll get up and scoot a little bit. But anyway, it was a little bit muddy out that day. The weather was nice though. It was probably in April or March. It's probably March. I think it was around April. It was around April. It may have been the middle of April. It had to be in the middle of April. It was either that or it was in the fall. I can't remember when it was. It wasn't in the winter though, because I remember the pond wasn't froze over. Because that's a little later in the story. Anyway, I was out feeding the hay. I think I was feeding a round bill with it, because there wasn't nothing on the back of it, I don't believe. I can't remember. Anyway, my friend was walking over here, and I think we were in 7th grade, and we had this big barn with one corner of it was part of the milk parlor. And back then it was a dirt floor and everything. We didn't have a good milk barn. They built a newer one later. But right beside the barn was a gate. And there's always a bunch of mud and everything right there where the cows went. And the tractor went through a lot. And, and I was getting a little bit... That was... we didn't even have four-wheelers. But that tractor was my four-wheeler that day. I pulled that hand throttle down and had it in 3rd gear. And I I was going to slide it. I was going through the mud, but I slid too far and I missed that gate, and I ran it right through the barn. Right into, hit my dad's milk machine, pushed it across the room, put a big hole, and my hat went flying up in the air, and my friend thought my head was in my hat, and he thought he was freaking out. He thought I killed myself. But I went flying through that barn. And the tractor pushed up against some more stuff inside there. And thank goodness. But it was spinning. The back tires were spinning, digging a hole in the dirt floor. And somehow or another, I hooked my arm down in the steering wheel. And I was hanging down off the side of the tractor. And I had boards and everything hit me in the face and stuff. But I was dangling on the steering wheel with that tractor tire spinning there behind me and stuff. Whew, I finally got my thoughts together enough. I turned the key off. It was right there in front of me. But that was, and then I thought, oh man, I'm in big trouble. We went and grabbed our fishing poles and we headed went fishing. I don't know why. I think my brothers or something might have showed up, and my older brother fixed everything. He built the wall back on the barn and got the milk machine put back where it's supposed to be. I told everybody I must have blacked out and hit the barn, but that's just what you gotta do to keep your butt from getting whipped, right? But I think I might have did black out for a little bit when I went through that wall, because I don't remember throwing off the seat and hooking my arm in the steering wheel. That was just that was just saved my life, getting my arm hooked in that steering wheel. But anyway, that was my tractor wreck story about running my dad's tractor through the barn. Oh, it was a disaster. That was a bad day. But it ended up making the barn look nicer. When he got done with it, it was all nicer than before. And my brother built that barn back with, he might have been a senior in high school, I think, when he did that. It ended up making it look nicer than it did before, with just a bunch of old tin and stuff we had laying around there. But that was my tractor wrecking experience. Anyway, let me see how much time we got here. I better save another story for next time. So, if it is dangerous to be playing around with farm machinery, and you can't take any firearms to any schools. You can't even draw a picture of a firearm in school. You'll get in trouble today. So ignore that part of my video. That was in the early 80s. And then now you can't do nothing like that. It may have even actually been, it was around 80. I think it was 79 or 80. More like 79 or 80 when all this occurred. So, anyway, look forward to doing some lawns this year. And I got some more stories I'll come up and tell you. I'll be able to tell you here in the future. I just got to drink some milk and think about what I'm going to say next. Have a good night. Always drink whole milk.